Next up, we got a GDI mirror matchup on Green Acres, ENEVION versus AOD Gaming. And so ENEVION spawning on the top as the gold GDI versus AOD Gaming spawning on the bottom as the blue GDI player. Looks like both players going to go to the choke and deploy. Fairly standard opening build for this map. Enable both players to crawl outside the starting zone. We'll see how they get on. So we see a Rax opening for ENEVION. Meanwhile, AOD is actually going for the eco first, not actually getting a Rax in beforehand. This can be quite costly on certain maps, but AOD's managed to get his Rax up first. And this is going to give a huge advantage to ENEVION. He's going to be able to get his scout off way before AOD has a chance to react. And here he is, he's going to come in, see the Conyard. Be up to ENEVION to deny these scouts, which he should do if he plays correctly. Meanwhile, AOD has gone up to 2 ref, and we're seeing the second ref there coming up for ENEVION. Oh, looks like AOD might actually squeeze by here. He's going to die on the 2 on the left. Does kill the unit on the right. So as you can see here, 2 ref. AOD opting to try and block in his entrance here with a couple of power plants. Crawling over towards the left now. Meanwhile, ENEVION is starting to move towards the center left. Interesting opener so far. There's a third ref going down for AOD. And third ref going down for ENEVION at the same time. At this stage, it's going to be up to each player to get their War Factory. ENEVION, of course, owning the center tip field is a huge advantage for him. It's really up to AOD to try and contest this or put some pressure on. ENEVION, of course, has access to this back tip field, so if he wants to expand, he still can. Whereas AOD, in terms of his expansions, he could try to get 2 on this field, or he could try and get 2 on this field. Be curious if he opts for either of them. But yeah, looks like it's going to be a classic War Factory standoff between both players. And we see here ENEVION's getting the scouting at the bottom. He's going to see that ref. Complete. And looks like first War Factory is down for ENEVION. Roughly on the same time that AOD's gotten his up. But ENEVION does have vision of this.
Construction complete.
So both players are fully aware of what the opponent's doing. ENEVION looking now to be crawling in towards AOD with this crawl. Nice forward Rax. He's kind of cornering AOD into this side of the map now, which is quite dangerous for AOD. Curious how he's going to play it. You can see the tank coming up here. Continuing the crawl even more. You can get a nice forward Rax here. It's going to be a lot to deal with for AOD. Down it goes. Oh, and the units does get to save some of them. Looks like AOD's holding off on the ground production just so he can get the tanks up. There's a second War Factory. Alright, he's got 3 ref, 2 War Factory. He's gonna lose this ref. It's pretty huge. ENEVION's really on top of this game. Curious what AOD is going to try and do to balance this back. He's got a Humvee out doing a little bit of scouting. He's going to lose his power here. Sell the Conyard. So now 2 ref, 2 War Factory. It's going to have a huge influx from cash from that Conyard sell, but we see ENEVION's done something similar over here. ENEVION opting to go heavy on the infantry though, whereas AOD's being a little bit more conservative. Do see loose ground up here, loose ground over here. The main force of ENEVION here being these grounds. He needs to take out these War Factories without getting all of his units squished, but looks like it's not going to quite work out for him. Now the advantage here, of course, is with AOD having 2 War Factories in the cell. His tank production is going to be much quicker than ENEVION, who only has the 1 War Factory. On the flip side of that, ENEVION does have 3 ref. Versus AOD, who now only has 1. So at this point, it's looking, it's looking pretty dicey. I mean, ENEVION can take out these 2 War Factories with these grounds if he plays his cards right, but he's just letting them get squished. And now there's 5 medium tanks in the field here from AOD. AOD doing the classic ref block back here. It's gonna be pretty tough. There's still a good bit of time left on the clock here, so we'll see how it pans out. Got 2 tanks versus 5. I mean, ENEVION should, or AOD should win this tank fight. Let's see, he's still building medium tanks back here. His halves are bugging out a little bit in terms of trying to get into the ref. See a bunch of rocket men coming out for ENEVION. It's good, it's good. I mean, he needs something. 2 of these tanks are pretty low health. Should get these down to 1 tank. Losing the forward racks here is a little bit painful. But ENEVION's making the most of it. He's just going to fall back to this point. AOD now with the 2 tanks. ENEVION opting to sell a ref here for some extra eco. It's not going to give him a lot though. And since he is only down, like at this point, this has hurt him more than anything else because now this harp can't dock, just to wait. See medium tank coming up here. A good bit of infantry in the field. We see that AOD sold one of his war factories. He no longer has the eco to support production for 2 of them, so it's a safe choice. Don't want to get crushed. Relying heavily on the rocketman here from ENEVION. Oof. 2 tanks left for AOD here. And ENEVION's in a position here to turn it around, so he can still win this. 4 tanks for AOD now versus 1 tank and a bunch of inf. 2nd tank coming up. Every second AOD waits, he's just going to be letting his opponent catch up. And with 2 rafts versus 1, his eco is going to be better. Alright, AOD's going in. Gonna inflict some pain. He's gonna lose 1 tank. Humvee's coming back into play here. Okay, AOD's still on top here. With these both on red health, it's not a huge difference. Especially with 600 in the bank. We're seeing a bunch of grants coming out. This is not AOD ENEVION's last racks. He still has 1 more back here, so it's not huge if he loses this. The positioning of it though is definitely helpful. Okay, we see 2 tanks left in the field. He's gonna lose some there to a squish. Oh, ENEVION sold his war factory at this point. Looks like AOD's in favor to take it, unless these infantry can rush in here and take out all these key structures before AOD does. Bit of a classic base race scenario. Of course, on quick match, whoever kills all the opponent's structures first wins. So they are the priority targets. Has lost his last production building, so the units in the field right now are currently all ENEVION's going to have to play with. And you can see here AOD has switched the Humvees to deal with the Grens. And that's going to be GG. AOD's going to take it. Well played, man. Well played.